governors' wives.
Well, that's not a true impression. I'm interested in everything. I'm interested in social events and civic events as well as my own professional life. I don't see any reason to be a sort of either-or person. I never have. I think that, you know, there's so many opportunities in life to learn new things and meet new people and become involved in activities that it's sort of short-sighted to cut oneself off from anything. So although I don't spend my time completely doing social events, I also don't spend it completely doing sort of non-social public interest or professional events either. I like to have a good mixture. I think that's fun. You get to meet more people who have different viewpoints and perspectives on what's going on in the state, and I really enjoy it.
But being a politician's wife, and we're told, and everyone seems to believe, that your husband is a rising star on the political scene, being a politician's wife, as we've been chatting here, puts such a strain on a marriage.
It does. And I'm very lucky because I married Bill when he was a defeated politician. He had lost his race for Congress, and I had known him for a period of time before that in law school, before I ever knew really that he was interested in politics, and had an opportunity to get to know him. And we have, for me, an excellent marriage. I'm not sure that it would suit other people because the kinds of strains that we've been talking about, being in the public eye, being separated from one another, are ones that not everyone could live with. But I really believe in what he's doing. I think that he's a, you know, just a superb human being as well as a good politician. So that for me, those are sacrifices that I'm willing to make. And he's very supportive of me and everything that I do, and I try to do as much as I can for him. So that I think there are strains in any marriage. And a political marriage, of course, has strains, but I'm not so sure that any marriage doesn't have their own particular kinds of strains, and each couple has to work out an accommodation for whatever reasons there may be. So that we've worked out ours, and we're very happy, and I just hope other people can work out their strains as well as I think we have.
Any second thoughts, though, sometimes?
No,
what
never.
am I getting into?
Never, never. I was 28 or 29, I can't remember right now, but I was older when I got married. I knew exactly what might occur in my life, but despite the trepidation that I felt at the prospect of being married to a politician, there wasn't any question. I mean, once you fall in love with somebody, you just, if you want to sit around and analyze it, you can, but that seems to me to be kind of a fruitless way to respond.
I should think you must get very tired, though, of being asked questions by people like me, newsmen like me, and by people in the general public about your decision not to use your husband's name.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't get tired of it. I think it's an understandable question. But for many of the things that we've just been talking about, the decision to keep my own name, particularly in my professional work, was one that seemed a very natural kind of decision because, as I said, I was older when I got married, and I had practiced law, and I had worked in Washington and Boston. I had written several articles, had developed something of a specialization in the area of children and family law, and I knew that we were going to be undergoing a great deal of scrutiny and a great deal of attention if Bill continued in politics, which he intended to do in some form or another. And since I wanted to continue practicing law, I really did not want to mix my professional activities with his political activities. I didn't want anyone ever to think that I was either taking advantage of his position or in some way riding on it. And there aren't very many ways to persuade people of that, but I thought it essential that I try to keep as much of a distinction between my legal career and my obligations as Bill's wife as I possibly could. Keeping my name was part of that, as well as the sort of professional reputation that I'd already built up.
Well, your husband won the governorship in a landslide, but we're still led to believe that it possibly could have cost him a few votes because your name is not the same as his.
I'm sure that it probably did, and I regret that very much. I regret any reason for someone voting against Bill other than on the basis of an honest disagreement with the issues. People voted against him because of his youth, I think. Some people may have voted against him because he was born in Hope instead of Jonesboro. I mean, there are all sorts of reasons why a voter might vote against a politician. They aren't good reasons in my mind. I think that as people get to know him better and as they watch him perform as governor, I think they will realize, those that voted for him, that their confidence was well placed, and those that did not, that perhaps they should take a second look.
Does it bother you that because you don't use your husband's name that people think you're too liberal? And after all, this is not a state known for liberalism.
Well, I don't know about that. Anita Bryant didn't take her husband's name either, and I don't think that she has a liberal image. I think a lot of people have images that are in no way related to reality. And there's really not much that one can do about that. Someone could come up with an image of either me or my husband or you that, if you were to sit down and talk with the person, would dissolve, because you'd realize that your image was not in any way reflective of how that person acted or believed. And I can only hope that whatever image people might have of either me or Bill, they will hold in abeyance until they have an opportunity to meet us or to talk with us. Both of us are trying to get around the state and meet with people and visit with them and find out what's on their minds and share our concerns as well as our hopes about what we're going to do in the next couple of years. So I'm sure that some people have an image. Some people may think I'm too conservative. Some people may think I'm too this or too that. But I think that's another one of the dangers about being in public life. One cannot live one's life based on what somebody else's image of you might be. I suppose that there have been many wives of politicians who may have had serious problems personally because they were worried about the image that they had and as to whether or not that would hurt their husband. All one can do is live the life that God gave you, and you just do the best you can, and if somebody likes you or doesn't like you, that's really, in many ways, something you have no control over. So.
We have made a big deal, we in the news media have made a big deal over your husband's age, the fact that he is the youngest governor in the nation right now. He is the second youngest governor in the state's history just by a matter of months. The thought has occurred to me, though, that you may very well be the youngest first lady in the nation.
I don't know. I don't know whether that's true or not. I kind of doubt it, since it's much more likely that a person in public life, a governor, would be married to a woman who was, younger than he was. So I don't know. No one has said that to me. So I really have no way of knowing whether it's true or not.
Your youth, his youth, your youth, is that a problem for you as you try to get settled now in the governor's mansion, as you deal with the veteran politicians of the state?
It hasn't proven to be. At least thus far. In many ways, it's been a blessing, because the amount of work that's required is demanding on one's stamina and enthusiasm, both of which Bill and I are lucky to have. So no, we have not run into those difficulties. I'm sure, again, that there are some people who are concerned about our youth, but I think that will also begin to dissolve, depending upon the kind of job that we do.
The thought occurs to me that you really don't fit the image that we have created for the governor's wife in Arkansas. You're not a native. You've been educated in liberal Eastern universities. You're less than 40. You don't have any children. You don't use your husband's name. You practice law. Does it concern you that maybe other people feel that you don't fit the image that we have created for the governor's wife in Arkansas?
No, because just as I said before, I think that each person should be assessed and judged on, that person's own merits. And I'm not 40, but that hopefully will be cured by age. Eventually I will be. We don't have any children yet, and we're hoping to have children, so that I hope will be cured in a number of years also. That doesn't bother me. And I hope that it doesn't bother very many people. I think that in a way, it's kind of a tribute to the state that someone who may or may not fit an image is accepted on her own terms. I came to Arkansas of my own free will. I was not born here, and I fell in love with the state and decided to stay, and Bill and I were married. I think that is a kind of indication of what we're trying to do in the state, that the time of feeling that Arkansas was in any way second to anybody, or the thank God for Mississippi image that we've, I think, had for too long, is beginning to disappear. And I want to do everything that I can to help that go as fast as we can make it disappear, because I have friends all over the country, people who are constantly asking me, you know, what it's like living in Arkansas, you know, why I moved here, and all the rest of it. And, you know, I'm someone who has lived in other places. You know, I've lived outside of large cities. I've lived on the East Coast. I've been all over the country and in some parts of Europe. And I just cannot think of a better place to be living right now. And, you know, that may sound kind of trite, but, you know, I just think that we've got so many opportunities, and that at the same time we've got a chance to meld what has always been, to me at least, one of the great parts of Arkansas heritage, which is our sort of individualistic tradition and the ties that bind people, with all of the possibilities for economic and other kinds of growth. So I don't know about image. I just hope that the reality is going to match what I want the image of the state to be, and if I can participate and contribute to that, I'll just be very happy about it.
What else has attracted you to Arkansas?
Well, I think the energy that people are beginning to display. You know, I taught at the law school up in Fayetteville for 2 years, and was able to spend time with you know, students, you know, people in the law school and the college, and was able really to observe just a continuing growth and hope in the future, that there was a chance of translating, you know, our slogan, land of opportunity, into reality. And I like that kind of energy. People aren't sort of beaten down by what's gone on before. They feel like, you know, the future's before them rather than behind them. You know, when one visits some of the larger cities that I'm familiar with now, there's such a feeling of just lack of possibilities, that time has kind of passed them by and that they're kind of withering on the vine. Well, there isn't that here. And there may be a certain amount of optimism that one in some other situation might say is unfounded or a little naive, but I like that too. I think you cannot achieve things unless you have a certain set of ideals and goals and are willing to dream about possibilities. And I think that's what's happening in this state. I find it really exciting. You know, I can't say enough about it. I hope everybody, if there is anybody out there listening and watching or caring what we're talking about, feels the same way, and that each of us is going to try to do everything we can to encourage the other person. The only thing that has ever bothered me about Arkansas since I've lived here is the remnant of feeling that I saw in some of my students, that, you know, that we weren't as able to seize opportunities. Maybe we weren't as good as people elsewhere. And I think that's beginning to disappear. And as fast as we can make it disappear, I think we're going to continue to just grow and do all sorts of good things.
The slower pace didn't bother you here? The poverty that we have here, that didn't bother you when you came here?
Oh, I've seen, you know, poverty